Hello, welcome back everyone, or if this is your first time, welcome. My name is Myanji and I'm a Webtoon artist as well as an animation student. For today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about my Webtoon Reita and how it came to be. Reita is a supernatural romance filled with demon angst and shenanigans, so if you haven't already, please check it out. So I guess I should start with how Reita was conceived. So back when I was in college, we had a senior project that we had to do, and he let me do a comic as my senior project. Comics are always something that I've always been interested in, so I was really, really happy that he allowed me to start my own comic. Thankfully, for my senior project, they only required me to do the first episode. Technically, the first episode is broken into the first 3 episodes of Reita, and I would like to consider those the pilot for Reita, since it was very much in its infancy at the time. Around this time, I met my friend who goes by Editor Sunstar, and she's credited in later volumes of Reita on Webtoon. Sunstar is a really good friend of mine, and ever since I first told her that I was starting a comic, she's been really helpful. She has done everything from planning to character design to story development, world building, and story progression with me. Almost every night I would go down to her apartment and we would sit together for hours planning out Reita. Now, breaking everything down, every time I would go to Sunstar's place, we would begin with planning. I usually either brought my iPad or a notebook, and together we would brainstorm ideas about the direction we wanted Reita to go and what we wanted to happen, specific scenes, character interactions. And from the get-go, I already came to her with a character design that I had in mind. Sho looks so different from how I originally designed him. It's kind of embarrassing, the first design, so I probably will never show that design. I'm very happy with how he looks now. As for Soma, he's been through a few character design changes as well, but according to Sunstar, he looks very nice, and she even has her own favorite character within the cast. My favorite character still hasn't been introduced, so he's close to coming in, and I'm really excited for when he does. And yes, sadly, Sho is not my favorite character, even though he is the main character. So now I guess I should talk about Reita and the story so far. The early chapters are also embarrassing to look at because my art wasn't as developed as it is now. I don't like the anatomy and the colors that I used. Also the assets that I used. I really do want to go back in and change them to the current style. But to do so would take time, and I'm already really slow with drawing the current story. So right now we are currently in the first arc of Reita, and the demons are very much still trapped inside of Sho. I had really loved working on the first arc, but now I just want to hurry up and finish it. The second arc is literally only like 2 or 3 episodes away from the second arc, because right now I feel like the first arc was laying a lot of ground for the later chapters. The second arc is probably going to be more backstory and character interactions, developing their relationships. Yeah, so that's probably really where I want Reita to expand, and I want to do more promotions for the comic then. To be honest, it does seem weird to be talking about Reita without Sunstar here, but I plan to try to have her in another video. I still gotta ask her about it. So now I think it's time to talk about the current characters in the arc, and that is Soma and Sho. So Soma and Sho already have plenty of backstory that has been revealed in the comic. They are childhood friends and currently boyfriends, and I feel like in the second arc we might see more of that. Hint, hint. Soma is very caring and also very protective over Sho. And Sho, he can be feisty when he wants to be, so I really like that in his character. He wasn't originally supposed to be that. I was going to give him more of a delinquent personality, but I wanted a cute character. Not to say that the delinquent characters can't be cute, but I felt like it would also fit Sho's current image how I designed him. I can't say too much about their characters, other than what's already in the comic, and as well as their relationship, though I feel like we got a pretty good understanding of their relationship based on all of the stuff that they've been through. Like when Soma protected Sho, gave up his body just to save him. Their bond does go deep, enough to sacrifice themselves for each other. Now, moving on to our villains, we have quite a few already introduced. So, I guess our first villain would be the spider people, and that's actually something that me and Sho share. We are terrified of spiders. I think I unconsciously gave him that fear, since he's the main character. So, the spider girl, I don't think I should reveal her name just yet, but her and her brother, who was an actual, spider, are pretty tragic, I guess you would say. I mean, he did die in front of her, and later when she reported to the head honcho, she also got another two of her eyes removed. So, I guess you can feel, how the structure is on the other side. And besides them, we also have the acid demon. That's what we're calling him right now. He's the acid demon because I don't want to give away his name. The acid demon is also another character that I had a lot of fun designing. He was super fun. I wanted him to have a creepy yet fun look. I wanted a villain that could tease our main characters and also give a very chilling villain smile. We do, however, have some of the villains that are currently inside Sho that have been in the comic, but they are inside of Soma. I guess I can talk about Ray since he has already been introduced. He was one of the first demons that we met in the beginning of the comic. Ray is a king of hell and he has been overthrown. So that's the story that we have so far. And later on we meet Yuto. Yuto he's already been revealed as Ray's brother and is a illegitimate prince of hell. Probably more on that in the second arc. Next, we have the twins, but not really. And yeah, those are Yuko and Koyu, and they took on a more comedic role while also, not getting along with Sho. And as of filming, the current demon that we are reading about that is inside of Soma is Nero. So Nero is actually another one of my favorites. I guess I can talk about him. So yes, Yuto is my favorite character within Reita. I really like his character design, but sadly it hasn't been released yet. I can't wait until it does. But yeah, Yuto is my favorite character in Reita. I just really love his personality, and if you hadn't noticed, I feel like Soma even was drawn better when Yuto was in his body. Anyway, I guess I should get into my comic making process. So in the back here, I am currently adding dialogue into the comic, but I'll just start from the beginning. So The first thing I do when I'm making a comic is scripting, which I did not include in this video. So scripting is literally just writing it out, what each panel has and what the characters are saying, descriptions. It's really daunting of a task because I end up going back in and changing it, or sometimes while I'm drawing I feel like it might not be what I pictured it to be in my head, so I won't even follow the script at times. And then after scripting, I go right into sketching, of course. So with the sketching, I go panel by panel. I usually number my panels in the scripting stage. I'll go panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, and while I'm sketching everything, I make sure, I try to remember to label my panels. After sketching is usually panel placement, so that is what I'm doing here, is when I block out panels. And as you can see, it turns the screen blue when I do that. That's just so when I'm coloring and when I'm inking, it doesn't go outside of the panel lines. It's a really helpful tool that's been in Clip Studio Paint. If I remember correctly, when it was called Manga Studio, I've had Manga Studio when it was in its earliest stages in high school. And after I do my panel placement is when I insert text. So all of the little text bubbles, I think in this one I've already added them all in, but usually it's after panel placement. So after I add my text, that's when the inking comes in, and literally that's just what it entails. I go in and ink all of my sketch lines, correct anatomy, and then once that's done, I usually do base colors right after. So base colors I use for the skin, the hair, the clothes, eyes, all of those. I usually have each character has their own palette within the program. Now, after the base colors are laid down, that's usually when I go in and add all of the shadows and highlights. So for shadows, I used to just grab a color and lay it on to the character's skin and hair. And I didn't like how it turned out. If you look back at my older versions, my old episodes of Reita, it looks very flat, and I just didn't really like that style and that look for my comic. So now I try to go in and I multiply anytime I start a new shadow layer. And for the highlights, sometimes highlights are color glow dodge. Sometimes it's, I utilize the effects within the program. Speaking of effects, that's usually after shadows and highlights. So for the effects, that's when a demon is using a superpower, or when I want to add more highlights on a certain part, when the action words come in. That's usually when I do effects afterwards. And after, when everything is all done and fully rendered, that is time for the cover art. So the cover art, I know a lot of Webtoon artists usually just put the title of their comic in the beginning, but I have a few influences from Korean comics, and one of them that I really enjoyed was Dear Door, and by Pluto, and she always had some sort of drawing in the beginning of her comic, and I really liked that. It really caught my attention, and I was always really excited for what kind of art she would use for her cover art. Plus, it really motivates me to draw, and I also like that it's adding to my portfolio. So after cover art is finished, that's usually when Reita is all done and ready for uploading. So before, I used to have to go into a cropping site and have to crop every single page of Reita, because Webtoons usually, back in the day, couldn't handle the episodes that I would make. They were too big, the files were too big. But now Reita has updated, and I am able to just drop all of the pages right into the website. Now that we're coming to the end of the video, I guess I should talk about what's in store for Reita, and I should probably address the elephant in the room, that is the hiatus. So I've been taking this long hiatus ever since I started as an animation student. It is a lot of work, nothing that I can't handle or haven't done before, but it does leave little time to work on my comic and also do social media and try to start up my own shop with Artist Alley. It's really impossible to work on Reita right now. However, I do want to get a stock of episodes and really build a buffer, and hopefully my hiatus will end in October. So by then, hopefully I'll have a regular upload schedule. I had one going, but yeah, I didn't have enough of a buffer at the time. When this happens in October, I want to do more promotions since we'll probably be heading right into the second arc. So I plan to be more active here on YouTube and social media for Reita, and I hope you look forward to it because it'll have better art, more characters, and more of an in-depth story. So this was kind of like a draw-along. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!